We love a frog prince. You know what type of prince we don't love? Spoiled ones. Welcome back to Bumblebee. You already know what it is. Here are the top 10 messed up things spoiled princes did in history. Let's get angry. Kicking off the list at number 10, don't look. Okay, the saying you can look but you can't touch is pretty common, and it does not apply to Filippo Maria Visconti, the Duke of Milan during the 14th century. Okay, he rose to power after his brother Giovanni was taken out. If you know what I mean, he was balconied. You know, we get it. He was known to be extremely cruel and many were unhappy with him, so it didn't come out of nowhere per se. Doesn't mean it was right, but he was not a nice guy by any means at all. So now Filippo had to take over come 1412. Filippo was better than his brother. He helped reorganize government finances. He got the silk industry up and running, okay? So he was doing things that were helping the economy. He ended up passing away like many years later, 30 years later almost, of natural causes. Nothing like his brother at all. But while he was in power, he never showed his face to anybody. He was a man of mystery, like that character from Game of Thrones that we never ended up finding out what happened with. He hid in his palace most of the time because he thought he was ugly. Sadly, he didn't allow anybody even close to him in the palace to look at him. I got a few zits and then I got a few lists to do. I don't get to hide my face. We're all humans, Filippo. It's all good, man. Just embrace it. It's cool. Pop it, see if it hits the mirror, you know? Have fun with it. Number 9, don't touch. Yes, the prince that couldn't keep his hands off of himself, out of his pants. I'm not trying to say anything, but I'm trying to say some things. You get it? I'm like YouTube, don't listen. Christian VII of Denmark, okay, he was a young lad, and he was spoiled, like many are on this list. He was comfortable with his body as well, and he was a lot of hormones, he was exploring, he was rich, he didn't have people to tell him no. He would often just have his hands in his pants, just hanging out in the middle of dinner, just passing food around to his family, alternating hands and pants to handing out food. What a little twerp. This is the worst thing ever. Now, it's unknown really, but historians believe maybe he had a mental disorder. Maybe, could be. Either way, don't touch the rye bread. Christian, please and thank you. Number 8. Boot and rally. This guy is one of the worst. Getting into more of the evil people here a little bit. Don Carlos, Spanish crown prince. The guy who just enjoyed being the worst human alive. Absolute piece of rubbish. Now, it's been noted that he was born with a hunchback and one leg was shorter. He had the odds against him from birth, okay? And people often feel bad for him a little bit when this is mentioned. It's often like, oh, he killed a lot of people, but he had a hunchback. Yeah, don't feel bad for him. Don Carlos was made hero of the opera by his dad, Philip II of Spain, okay? He was set up to marry Mary Queen of Scots. He was fine. And he would still hurt people a lot because it was fun. He would roast animals that were alive for fun. And according to historians, Don Carlos once made a cobbler eat a pair of boots because he didn't like how they looked. He made a cobbler eat a pair of shoes. That's the most evil thing I can imagine. Number 7, cherry brandy. Okay guys, start sweating. You're gonna need your fake ID for this one. Prince Charles, okay, at just age 14, decided to walk his little age 14-year-old legs to the local Stornoway Harbor Village pub. Yeah, I said pub, not arcade, pub. Kid pulls up a stool, he climbs up, you know, with little kid legs, and then he orders from the bartender in a soft voice, not a chocolate milk. He orders a cherry brandy. The prince was being discreet, but unfortunately a local reporter just happened to be sipping some crispy cold ones at the same time and overheard the young prince get his whistle wet. This was a huge scandal. I mean, obviously a child's like, hey, can I get a drink? Shake it, not stir. That's crazy. Headlines level scandal, obviously. I mean, look at the unwanted attention Malia Obama got for smoking the devil's lettuce while she was going to Harvard. You know, see what people focus on? You get it? In this case, fair. The kid's 14, good call, save your liver, good eye. Number 6. Rudolph II. Okay, this one is not the red-nosed reindeer. This is the second one. This one's a little bit different. The Holy Roman Emperor from 1552. He was known as a collector. He liked to collect things. Some princes collect stamps, I've mentioned before. Others have a live dodo bird. A little different. Step your game up, I guess. I don't know. He was super into the arts as well. He was into pretty much everything mystical and wonderful. His castle, was also home to lions, tigers, and orangutans. Yeah, good luck sleeping. He also collected human artifacts. So that's, yeah, welcome to MTV Cribs. Don't mind the jar of eyes. Come on in, here, check out the sofa. Don't step on that lion's tail either, or else it'll eat you. Watch out, careful, watch your head. We're in a castle. What a mess. He's quite important in history though. He supported the scientific revolution. He also poured tons of money into astrology. So next time you read your horoscope, remember it's Jaw Jar Johnny over here that's responsible. I'm a Libra, just so we know. Are we compatible? We'll talk in the comments. Number 5, not immortal. Qin Shi Huang was trying to find the key to immortality, and in doing so, he met his fate. Ironic, I'll say it, it's ironic. The first emperor of China caught wind of old myths about immortality and these 3 spirit mountains in the sea. And living on these mountains were these immortals, like a Marvel comic book. It's crazy that he actually thought this. So he searched for what's called the elixir of life. Yeah, like something from Legend of Zelda. Sounds pretty interesting. He once sent hundreds of young men to this Penglai mountain, and they were sent to retrieve this elixir. They were sent to find it. Now, they never returned. Maybe it has something to do with the fact that the contact they were supposed to meet was a 1,000-year-old magician. They're like, he's not here. Weird. His next plan was to get his own alchemist to make immortality pills, but unfortunately, they were made of mercury. So those pills were the cause of his death. Don't eat pills. Or talk to alchemists. We don't need those guys anymore, I don't think. Number 4, King Ludwig II. This young lad has numerous castles built for him to resemble fairy tales. How neat. Nobody really knows why he was so obsessed with castles in the first place, but he had the budget to make them, so now he's important and remembered in history. He designed them after his favorite fairy tales. I'll be honest, I kinda love this. Ludwig was only 18 when he later became the King of Bavaria in 1864, and then he had the green light to do this wild teen DIY project, making castles, as in more than one, each of them inspired from romantic literature and his early days with the family at the opera. Wow, his early days at the opera. Must be nice, Chris. I made pillow forts growing up. Does that count? I don't know, kid was a dreamer. So are we all. He would spend his nights in one castle looking through a telescope at his other castle being built. People are hauling bricks up a spiral staircase and he's just watching from his bedroom like, yes. Careful, lift with your legs, He should have spent less time looking at fairy tale castle blueprints though, because 2 years later in 1867, he went through a horrible defeat. That's mostly why he's known. Castle boy. Number 3, Farouk I, the youngest son of Egypt's first king, Fuad I. He was born in 1920 in Alexandria, and in his early days at school, he couldn't concentrate. The king sent him to England to hopefully find a new way of teaching and learning, something that works for him, but still no luck. Once the king ended up passing away in 1936, you know what's up, Farouk ended up getting the throne. But also he had so much more property. He had hundreds of fancy cars, 75,000 acres of land, he had everything. But still, he felt like he needed to take more. Classic. So at just 17 years old, he would slam a bunch of eggs for breakfast, wash it down with bottles of beer, like 30 bottles of beer, just nutritious and delicious in all the wrong places. And he was one of the biggest hoarders ever, and he loved to steal. They go hand in hand, hoarders and thieves, I guess. He had thousands of shirts, which is so funny. Just this guy is, hey, look at my cars and also look at my shirts. This is Animal Crossings, apparently. He had 50 diamond-studded walking sticks for some reason, and like a prince, he too collected coins. One of the most bizarre things of Farouk was that he liked to steal. He pickpocketed Winston Churchill once. Guy's insane. Number 2, no fun. This is the worst of the worst people. Murad IV, Sultan of the Ottoman Empire. The guy banned coffee like a piece of shit. He was born in 1612, and for the most part, his mother was ruling through him, like some kind of Game of Thrones plot, because he was so young, he didn't really understand it. He didn't know politics, he was just like, chocolate milk. And when he got a little older, he put forth these laws, punishable by death, because why not, in order to get things back on track, make himself more, of a leader, I guess. So he banned coffee, tobacco, and alcohol. Just no fun, absolutely. Have fun at prom, I guess. He would actually disguise himself as a civilian at nighttime and wander around aimlessly in hopes that he would catch you drinking a coffee in the middle of the night. And then, if you were caught, God forbid you're having a smoke break after work, you weren't arrested, you didn't get fined. Murad IV himself would just take off your head right there in the streets. And then your head would just roll down a road because you had a dark roast. What an asshole. And finally, coming in at number 1, Caligula. Running the clock back to 12 CE, Gaius Caesar, aka Caligula, aka the Roman Emperor at the time, apparently he was close with his horse. Some say he was a little too close, but I'm not gonna get into that. I had 2 dogs growing up, I would rather die for those little piggies, alright? And if I had the money, yeah, I'd probably make them a house as well, made of marble. He gave his horse a marble stall, and it got to the point where they were so close, they were homies, they were so tight, that Caligula was about to appoint the horse to the high office of council. But he was taken out. He was, I can't say the word, but he was pew from afar. Imagine if you lived and this happened. What would those meetings look like? Or rather, what would those meetings smell like? Count me out. Guys, thank you so much for joining us on Bumblebee. That's been our list. If you like it, throw us a thumbs up. If you want a part 2, comment down below. I'm Taylor McWaters, and we'll see you next time. Peace.